Hi you guys, welcome back to my Crypto 101 series, and today we're going over rug pulls. Last episode we went over meme coins, but meme coins and rug pulls go hand in hand, so you know I had to do an episode about this because I need you guys to understand everything there is to know about a rug pull, how to spot it, and how not to be a part of one, because people lose their whole entire life savings on these rug pulls just because they didn't do their due diligence. All right, just because they didn't do their research. They saw a coin, somebody sold them a dream, and then now they're broke. You don't want to be that. I promise you, you do not want to be that. I don't want that for you either. That's why I'm here to teach you. But before we get started, welcome back to Getting Digital with Deja. So first things first, let's go over the textbook definition of a rug pull. A rug pull is a type of cryptocurrency investment scam where the creators or developers of a project hype up a token to attract investor money, only to suddenly abandon the project and steal all the funds. The term comes from the phrase, to pull the rug out from under someone, leaving victims entirely empty-handed with a completely worthless token. So I do want to establish just early on, rug pulls and hackers are not the same thing. A rug pull can be a hack, but a hack does not have to be a rug pull, if that makes sense. So hackers are like people who get inside of your information, inside your data, use it against you, take your money and things like that. Rug pulls are a lot different because you, the everyday investor, are choosing to invest inside of this rug pool. Nobody's holding a gun to your head talking about you better do this right now. No, you're choosing to do it. You just chose the wrong choice, okay? That's why we do a lot of research and information and just like a lot of just thinking before we ever invest into a coin, because you could be investing into a rug pool. You need to see the white paper. You need to see the investors. You need to know about the investors. Do they have rug pools in the history? Like, you really need to know these things. So I do want to have that clear. Rug pulling and hacking are not the same thing. Rug pulling, you're voluntarily putting your money into something. Hacking is someone taking it away from you, okay? A rug pull can be a hack, but a hack doesn't have to be a rug pull, all right? A rug pull can come in many different forms and fashions, okay? So there's not just one type of rug pull where they take all your money. No, they can take all your money a whole plethora of ways, okay, you guys? And we're going to go over the top 3 type of rug pulls that exist in the crypto world. And the first one is going to be liquidity stealing. Now I'm going to go over the textbook definition for that one. Liquidity stealing. Developers drain all the valuable coins like Ethereum or BNB out of the project's trading pool, making it impossible for anyone else to sell their tokens. So you may be wondering, how in the world can they do that? How can they drain Ethereum and BNB if they're not even in charge of Ethereum and BNB? So let me tell you how they do it. They're not essentially draining Ethereum and BNB. They're not going to the network and taking from Ethereum and things like that. They are taking from their own ecosystem, okay? Their own meme coin, whatever ecosystem that they have. They're draining the foundational coins like Ethereum, BNB, or whatever it was built on. So, you have these ecosystems that you can build on Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, XRP, and things like that, these dApps and these blockchains and these coins and things like that. And their coin is what helps your ecosystem to keep going. But if you don't have that coin, then your ecosystem starts to lose value because now it's just based off of your coin or your project or something like that of that sort. So those type of coins are used to keep the ecosystem up and thriving. They're built on those type of platforms like Ethereum. If you drain Ethereum out from your projects, do you get what I'm saying? You get where I'm going with this? If you drain it out, then you're not going to have a value. It's your coin, whatever meme coin that you have, is going to automatically lose its value, okay? There's no trading that can be done necessarily, essentially. And this, in a sense, is going to make it basically impossible to sell those tokens that you have. So you have these tokens and you can't do nothing with it, okay? If you have these meme coins, you can't do nothing with it except for just let it sit and lose value. So as you can see, it's not necessarily a hack, okay? So what happened was you invested into something. The developers of that investment made it to where you can't sell those tokens because they drained the liquidity pool. And now you're just stuck with a nothing coin, a poop coin at the end of the day, okay? So again, not a hack because you did voluntarily put your money in there, but you did not voluntarily sign up for those developers to do that. Okay, now let's get into another type of rug pull, which is going to be known as a honeypot. Now, I personally believe that this is the number one type of rug pull that exists. because it just like, it's really building up the hype, you know? It's really building up the hype just for you not to be able to sell anything. I'm going to go ahead and give you the textbook definition so you know exactly what I'm saying when I said that. So it's also called technical manipulation, also known as honeypot. Developers use malicious backdoors directly into the token smart contract, such as completely disabling the ability for regular investors to sell. Okay, so you know these coins, they have code. It's literally coded money, essentially like that. And so with this coded money, the developers can choose what they want to happen with this coin through smart contracts. We went over what smart contracts do. We went over how important it is to a crypto ecosystem. So if you haven't gone over those videos yet, I highly suggest you go over those because it's really good, okay? But anyways, with these smart contracts, different things have to happen in order for these smart contracts to be like enabled, essentially, right? But through that smart contract as well, they can disable a lot of things as well, and only certain things can be enabled if it meets certain qualifications, but the coin will never meet those qualifications because the developers are sure of that, so your coin will never be able to sell. Okay, so when you're selling those coins, it's a smart contract that's going into the back of that. All right, like it's like that. All right, so when they put that malicious coding into the coin itself, there's nothing you can do to stop it. You're not the developer. You don't know like the engineering and everything of that coin, and even if you did like find it out, there's literally nothing that you can do about it because you don't have access to it. Okay, you're not the developer, you're not the maker, you're not the CEO, you're not none of that. You're just an investor. Okay, and they can make it to where an investor will not be able to sell those coins. Okay, so they're selling you a scam. They're literally selling a scam without telling you that it's a scam. This is why you have to do your research. They're known as honeypots. So they're gathering all this liquidity with all these people investing into this coin, all this liquidity, building it up, but none of these investors can sell. So at any point, the developers or the people in charge of this project can go ahead and pull their money out, pull their coins out that have so much value. They would get all that money, and now the coins that you have left in your portfolio, they don't have any value. So they're not stealing your coins from you, they're stealing the value of that coin from you. And you guys, they can build that hype up for years, okay? It's not something that's just like overnight builds up hype and then they take it out. They can build it up for weeks, months, years, however long it takes to get to a point to where they feel comfortable with how much is in there, and then they'll take it out, okay? So you're probably wondering, how can they do that for years without anyone catching on? So a lot of the times when you invest in coins and things, especially in its early on phases, they have what they call lockups. So when you have a lockup, it's essentially to where you won't be able to essentially sell or trade those tokens. You just own them, okay? You can't touch them, you can't do nothing with it, and you get rewards for owning it. So you get even more coins for owning it, or you'll be able to get perks, so like different stores and things like that. Like each platform has its own little set of perks and rewards that go into, you know, staking is what they call it. You can either call it a lockup or staking, but you're not able to touch it. So it doesn't look malicious at first. I mean, sometimes it does look a little malicious, but it usually doesn't look up like malicious, because I know I had to stake Crow which is the Chronos coin, for 2 years before I could be able to sell or trade it or anything. But the Crow coin belongs to Chronos, and so I was like, this is pretty legitimate. And I got the rewards, the perks, the debit card that comes with that as well, the crypto debit card, and the crypto credit card. So it's just like, that's a lot of different rewards, but that was not a scam, all right? These other coins, when they ask you to lock it up, it can most definitely be a scam, so you have to be safe. Now, the third and last type of rug pulling I'm going to be going over today is dumping tokens, all right? You can kind of tell from the name of this, dumping tokens, what's happening in this scenario, but I'll go ahead and give you the textbook definition of it anyways. So, dumping tokens. The founders secretly allocate a massive amount of the supply to themselves, wait for the price to rise, and then dump all their holdings onto the market, crashing the price to zero. All right, literally, that is self-explanatory, you guys. That happens a lot as well in crypto, but you know, everything is very transparent in crypto, so you can see how much coins is allocated to who in these white papers and things like that, or when you just go on the blockchain and really do your research, your due diligence, really go on there and see it. So this is public information that you can see. And of course they can still be malicious about it in a way, but we would hope they wouldn't be. But if they're being malicious malicious and gonna rug pull it out anyways. I mean, they still can be malicious on the blockchain in some type of way. I don't know. A hacker's gonna hack, a rug pull is gonna pull. All right. I think anything is possible. So that is something that you definitely have to be on the lookout for when you're trying to invest in these coins, especially these early on developments. Each coin, just because they supply a lot to their founders, doesn't mean automatically that it's a rug pull. Every single cryptocurrency project allocates something to its founders for the most part, okay? It's usually not massive amounts, because if it's a massive amount, that means that they really control the market. So you're just pouring your money into here and they're controlling the market because they're the big boys, okay? It's just like the stock game, all right? So when you're trading stocks, you have these big institutions that trade with you, with the regular retail investors like you and I. But those big institutions, they're literally moving the market. They move the market, whatever they say goes, okay? And we're just playing the game, essentially. But we're benefiting off of it. We're getting money off of it, you know? And that's a very regulated market. But when you have crypto, a very unregulated, new, hot popping, technology-based type of market, a lot can go wrong. So it's like along the same basis of like who can move the market, but it can be a lot of malicious things happening with crypto. Of course, there's a lot of malicious things that can happen with the stock market. It's happening all day, every single day, you know, politics, and they're having such a big say-so in the market and things like that. But at the end of the day, stock market's regulated, crypto is not. Now that we went over the top 3 type of rug pulls in the crypto game, in my opinion, we are going to move on to how to spot those rug pulls, how you're researching your due diligence, what to be looking for in the first place. So one of the first things to check is going to be the locked liquidity. So if a liquidity pool is locked, that's pretty good. That's good signs. If it's unlocked, that means that the creators and the developers can withdraw funds instantly at any point, and you can get rug pull in the middle of the night while you're enjoying your favorite TV show on the couch. You look at your crypto and then it's plummeted, okay? That's exactly how that can go. So one of the top things to look for when you are researching, doing your due diligence on these coins and these projects, is to see if the liquidity pool is locked. Again, all of that type of information is very easy to find in its white paper, and it's like code or online. Really, you can find a lot of this information just asking ChatGPT, if I'm being completely honest. Now, the next thing to spot is if this team is anonymous. So all the founders, creators, and early on investors and things like that, are they anonymous? Like they don't have their identity anywhere for you to see it? Or is it a very open team? Like, you know what they look like and things like that. Like XRP, you know what he looks like. All right. Brad Gallinghouse, you know what he looks like. Now, with other developers and stuff like that, sometimes they choose to be anonymous, because you have to remember, you guys, crypto is an anonymous world. You don't have to be known if you don't want to, okay? Even if you're just like a person who's investing, I can be totally anonymous on crypto if I wanted to, all right? So these founders, these creators and things like that, it doesn't come off as quote unquote weird for their team to be anonymous, because in crypto, you know, you're basically hiding your identity, which sounds so crazy and weird and just like a little in the first place, you know, right? But it doesn't come off as just the most bizarre thing, but that is something that you should flag, okay? That's something that you might not want to trust. And I'm not here to tell you what to do and not to do, but I will say, if you do choose to invest in a project that has anonymous founders and investors, that's it. That's all I'm going to say. I didn't say anything, but I feel like I said enough. It really is just something about accountability. So I want to hold someone accountable if anything goes wrong. I want to be able to blame somebody. I want somebody to take the blame and go to jail if they decide to do a rug pull, okay? If everyone's anonymous on the team, who are we going to hold accountable? Next, we're going to have token distribution. That is something that you should definitely look up, and it's public knowledge on blockchain information. You can easily look that one up, okay, you guys? Now, the reason why token distribution is so important, because if there's a few wallets, even if it's not the founders or anything, if it's a few wallets that hold majority of the coins, that's scary. That means it's a few wallets that hold majority of the value of your coin that you just decided to put your hard work, earned money into, all right? that's not good, because then they can dump it. Okay, that means they can dump it all into the market, make it crash to zero, take all the money, and then you're just left with a worthless coin. Okay, when we're investing inside of crypto, we're investing inside of longevity. We're not investing inside of speculation. So when I say that, that means you have to look at all these things and be like, does this coin have a really good percentage of longevity? So that means they have to pass all these tests as far as the token distribution, and then the founders, their identities being posted and things like that, the token economics and all these other things that I'm going to go over later on in this video. You have to study these things, and that's how you base if it has longevity or not. A lot of people are very peculiar when it comes to crypto because they believe that it's a scam, it's a get rich quick type of scheme, which it is. It is. I'll be the first to tell you, it definitely is. If you're on those type of vibes, it definitely can be that way for you. You can make it that way for you. But if you're not on those type of vibes, it can be a great market to gain knowledge in, to build your knowledge on digital finance, to learn about these different projects that are literally running the world, to know about these different governments and stuff that are implementing crypto into their policies and things like that. So there's two sides to every coin, and there's two sides to this crypto world. There's a malicious side who use all these tools to hurt people, harm people, take their money. And then there's the other side that use it to build people, to build ecosystems and communities and things like that, and developments. So you just have to pick which side you want to be on. But you can be caught in the crossfire if you do not do your due diligence and your research on these coins and these projects. So another thing to look up is going to be selling restrictions. Okay, go to the comments for these type of coins. Go to the reviews. There's so many different crypto websites that literally are just dedicated to reviewing these coins, these tokens, and their projects. People are going on there and telling you their direct experience, okay, with these projects. And you can go on Block Explorer to see if these people are able to sell their tokens. If they're not able to sell those tokens, it's a honey trap. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, it might be a lockup period or whatever, but I mean, to keep yourself safe, stay away from it. All right, until you see some comments on when people are able to sell it. If you see a coin and nobody's able to sell it, it's a trap. All right, wait until you see some comments about people being able to sell it, maybe, and then, run it back. But, initially, stay away. Another one to be on the lookout for is guaranteed high returns. So they're telling you, oh, you're going to guarantee get a lot of yield off of this coin, a lot of returns off of this coin, like unrealistic numbers that they're giving to you. And it just sounds too good to be true, probably because it is too good to be true. Pay attention to that. You may be investing inside of a Ponzi scheme. Now we're going to go into what a Ponzi scheme is right after I give you this last thing to keep on the lookout for when you're investing inside of these coins and these projects. And that's going to be the code audits. All right. So these coins and these projects, they have audits by reputable firms and things like that who literally audit its whole code, tell you everything about its code for that coin and everything. Very, very transparent. Now, if you have a coin that does not have an audit, all right, they're not being transparent at all, it's because they're hiding something, more than likely. All right, they're hiding something, because coins that want people to actually invest in them and to build longevity and to really build an ecosystem without having any malicious intents, they're not going to hide anything from you. The ones that are malicious are going to be hiding those back doors, the ones where smart contracts are saying that you can't sell it, or you have to have all these different things happening before you can sell it and things like that, or the liquidity pools and things like that. You have to pay attention to these things. There's very reputable firms out there. Ask Google which one you should go with. Doing your due diligence and your research goes a long ways, because with crypto, it's very transparent and it's out there. And if it isn't out there, then that's something that you should stay away from. Now, you may have heard the term Ponzi scheme a lot, okay? Especially when it comes to crypto, But I fear that a lot of people don't even know what a Ponzi scheme is. They just relate a Ponzi scheme and a scam in the same boat. And they're like, that's what it is. A Ponzi scheme is a scam, but I'm here to teach you what type of scam it is, all right? So I'm going to teach you the textbook definition, so give me one moment. Is an investment fraud that pays older investors using funds acquired from newer investors rather than from actual profits. So these scammers typically promise high returns with little to no risk because there is no legitimate revenue. The scheme collapses when new recruitment slows or stops. So if they're not getting anybody to invest inside of this Ponzi scheme, inside of this project, or it just stops, that's when it fails. and that's when everything just drops. But that Ponzi scheme can be building for years and years and years before it drops, okay? Gaining a lot of value, all that value going overnight, all right, you guys? So this is something that you really have to pay attention to. So one more thing that I want to say before I end this video is that hacking and rug pulls are very, very similar. But one thing you have to understand is that hackers are usually done from the outside. It's an outside job from an outside source. When you have rug pulls, it's usually done on the inside from an inside source. Not usually. It's always done from an inside source, okay? The developers, the creators, anybody who has access to the code of that coin and thing, which would have to be an inside job, is going to be able to maliciously steal crypto. So both of them can result in you losing your crypto, you having your crypto stolen from you, but the requirements or just like the basis of it happening is completely different. Inside job, outside job, okay? So I just want you guys to be able to do your due diligence and your research when it comes to these rug pulls. Next episode, I'm going to be showing you the top 5 rug pulls in history. These are some big old rug pulls, billions and billions of dollars taken away from people, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to those people who took those billions and billions of dollars away from those people. So even though crypto is an unregulated market, people are still going to feel the burn when they do this illegal malicious activity on the blockchain. But that's only if they are ever found. We got a few people on America's most wanted list with this crypto scheming stuff, okay, that have never been found, that walked away with billions and billions of dollars from investors, all right? So we're going to talk about all that in my next video. And thank you so much for coming to this video to learning everything about rug pulls. Thank you for letting me teach you all about it. And go ahead and click my next video to learn about the different rug pulls in history, the laws around it, and all of that great stuff. But before we leave, always remember that pretty girls can do crypto too. Toodles, guys.